Welcome to the Built From Within podcast. Now, what is this all about? So, this introduction episode is really where I want to share like the purpose behind this podcast and what it's for and why I'm here and my journey and what has led to this point, essentially. Essentially, to start off with, if I talk about Built From Within and what Built From Within actually means. Built From Within is the concept that transformation happens from the inside first before it happens on the outside. Now, from being in the industry for the past 15 years and learning and educating and understanding as much as I possibly can as it relates to the human body, the human mind, the human heart, the human soul, human transformation, human development, physical transformation, mental, emotional transformation, spiritual transformation. What I've come to realize is that a lot of health and fitness professionals are way too focused on the physical side of things. And there's a lot of missing pieces around the spiritual and the mental emotional. Because physical transformation, a lot of the times, happens as a result or a byproduct of you working on your mind and on your heart and on your body and on the things that are happening inside you. Now, what we know is as humans, we're a cybernetic system, meaning that we're a system of systems, which means we're not just physical, but we're mental, emotional, and spiritual beings and energetic beings. There's a lot more that makes up a human than just their physical body. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. But what tends to happen is that most health and fitness professionals coach the human and they don't coach anything outside of that. And through my journey of being in the industry for 15 years and for almost a decade now, coaching health and fitness professionals, that's anyone from allied health professionals, osteos, physios, chiros, to nutritionists and dietitians and personal trainers a lot as well, coaches, strength conditioning coaches, and being in that world and going on this journey myself as well, is what I've come to understand is that the industry has it backwards. The industry has it back to front. And there's something that actually needs to change. And this is what this podcast is all about. Because what's currently happening inside the industry, and this doesn't really matter what part of the industry that you're in, whether you're an allied health professional or whether you're a personal trainer or a strength conditioning coach or a nutritionist, people are becoming so focused on specializing and zoning in on their area of genius, which is great and it has its place. But you're missing the piece that you're actually working with a human. And there's a lot more that makes up a human than just your area of expertise. And I'm not saying that you have to be a master in all these areas, but you definitely need to have an understanding in all of these areas. So I want to share a bit about my story and how I got to this place of this understanding in my own journey. So my journey started back in, well, when I was born, essentially. But let's say it started back in year 10. Year 10 is when I sort of took a year forward and I started studying year 11 physical education, and I just became obsessed with it. And then from then, I knew that I wanted to go to uni. I knew I wanted to understand more about the body. And talking about the uni and the whole concept around university can be a discussion for another day. If I had my time over again, which hindsight's a wonderful thing, but I wouldn't take that path. because I've learned that the fastest way to get from point A to point B is to find someone who's at your point B and learn from them. And the day and age that we're in, we have access to so much amazing information that we actually don't need universities to be able to get us there. And we can get there a lot quicker with people that are actually in the trenches getting results, doing amazing things. But I want to take you back. When I first started studying, that was back in 2012. I graduated from my exercise and sports science degree at the end of 2014. And through going through this experience, the reason why I got into it in the first place is I had this idea that I wanted to work with athletes. I didn't really care what type of athletes, but especially once I got to the end of my degree, I was a little bit unsure. I knew I wanted to work. I thought it was like data analysis and those types of things, GPS tracking. I love data. But then I had an internship come up at the end of my degree that sort of completely changed the trajectory that I was on. And so I went and did this strength conditioning internship in Melbourne with some of probably regarded as some of the best strength conditioning coaches in Australia. And it completely opened my eyes up, and I realized that growing up as an athlete, someone who loved being outdoors, loved playing sports, it's all I ever knew, that I wanted to dive into that area. So I started working with athletes. My first 3 to 4 years of coaching was purely coaching 90% athletes, from high level athletes to weekend warriors. High level athletes that like Moto 3 athletes, state champion boxers, national high level golfers, Oceania champion kickboxers, all walks of life. And all different types of athletes. You name it, I probably coached an athlete in that sport. It was absolutely like high-level basketball athletes. But what I realized is as I was going through this journey, I became very skilled and very high level at strength conditioning. But what good is an athlete if they're injured and actually can't play their sport on the weekends? So what I realized is I'd start referring out, because I didn't understand around rehab, I would refer these clients out to experts because it wasn't it wasn't in my lane. It wasn't in my zone of genius. So I would refer them out to get them the help that they needed to be able to rehab them so they could come back into the gym and we could like really start building some momentum. What I found out about that is I quickly started realizing that a lot of people were coming back and they weren't getting rehab to the degree that I know they needed to be. And I eventually reached this level where I was just like, fuck it, I'm going to learn how to do this myself. So I went on this path of doing exactly that and understanding rehab, understanding from a reductionist point of view and a holistic point of view of how to rehab the body, and be able to zoom in and look at like anatomy and biomechanics and physiology and the things that are happening in someone's body that's creating pain or injury or dysfunction in their body. So I could rehab them and get them back to high performance of being the best athlete they could possibly be. Through going down that path, I really zoned in on the fact that I loved rehab. Like there was something so rewarding out of getting someone out of pain and back to optimal performance. So I started diving down that more, and I started getting known for that a lot more. So that's the path that I ended up going down. I became obsessed with understanding pain and rehab. Then what I also started realizing was that these people that were coming to see me, I started seeing that recovery was really important for them to be able to rehab to the level that I wanted them to rehab at. And the recovery that was important, two main things around recovery, was sleep and food. And most of them had a terrible relationship with sleep and a terrible relationship with food. And it's like, how well is an injury going to get rehabbed if that's the case? So I started understanding the impacts of recovery on the body and on pain and on injury. And then coinciding with that was understanding stress and the impact that stress has on the body. And what I started realizing through going down that path was it's not exactly what's happening in someone's life. It's the relationship that they have with the things that are happening in their life that creates the stress, because life is always going to be lifing. And so I went down this path of understanding stress and understanding the nervous system and how that impacts someone's body, their physiology, their pain, their injury, their dysfunction, and ultimately their performance as a human and as an athlete. And whilst going along this journey of learning all this stuff as it related to my clients, I was also going on my own journey. And I really started diving into this probably back around 2017. This really started opening up for me, of not just focusing so much on outside of me in terms of my career and my success and the people I was working with, but actually going inside myself and seeing what was inside me. Because I knew there was a lot there to explore that I hadn't explored yet. And through going through that relationship and understanding myself, it's really started relating back a lot to the clients that I was working with. And I knew there was an important piece there of how I could help clients, because I realized how much me going on my own inward journey in personal development, how much it was changing my own perspective of myself, of my life, of the people around me, of how I work with clients. And I knew that that was something that I needed to share with my clients because of the impact that was having on me, and how I related to myself and how I related to the people and the world around me. So I started coaching people in that area. I just started having conversations with them on the gym floor, or when I had them on a table and I was doing some rehab stuff with them. And I quickly started to realize that this is a big missing piece. That transformation happens from the inside. And when I'd have conversations with clients when either they wanted to move on or their time with me had ended, and I asked them to reflect back and like what they got from our time together, one of the biggest things that people would always say, my clients would always say to me, is that the conversations that we had were some of the most transformational things. And I'd get messages like years later, even after I stopped coaching, which was like 3 years ago now, I'd get messages years later of the impact that those conversations would have on them. So this is essentially what Built From Within is all about. It's understanding that transformation is an inside game. So what I'm here to share through this podcast is, through going through my own journey of understanding myself, I realized that I always had to go outside of the industry to find the mentors that I wanted in terms of to explore myself, to understand myself, find men's coaches, to find mindset coaches, to find people to help me with my mental, emotional, and spiritual health and spiritual evolution. To not just train the human side of me, but to train the spiritual side of me. Because like I said earlier, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. We're spiritual beings walking around in this human meat suit, essentially. So I wanted to create this podcast. I have created this podcast. I am doing this podcast to expose people in the health and fitness industry of what truly having a holistic approach actually means, and working with a whole person, both on the human side of things and the spiritual side of things, from the physical to the mental to the emotional to the spiritual. And I've been blessed enough to come in contact and build relationships and network with some phenomenal professionals in this industry and outside of this industry, but it all relates back to people performing at the optimal level so they can live a life of fulfillment, of success, of freedom, of choice, all those things that we fundamentally want as humans. And I've learnt from some of the most amazing people, some of which you'll hear from on this podcast. I have to give credit to a lot of my mentors, like Mark Buckley in FMA, Jacob O'Neill, which will be on he'll be on one of the first episodes, one of my men's coaches. Mother Nature's been amazing. My mum and my dad, my partner, Kristen. I've had some incredible teachers, people like Paul Check, people like Mitch Bean, who's phenomenal when it comes to quantum physics and neuroscience and human transformation and human development. People like Peter Crone. I've had some amazing, amazing mentors that have really helped me understand and discover a lot about myself on both the physical and understanding the body side of things and pain and injury and dysfunction, and then on the mindset, spiritual evolution side of things. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to bring this to health and fitness professionals, but also here to bring this to people that are influenced by health and fitness professionals. Because what's sort of happened in the industry is there's been this roll-on effect of where people are currently at in their health journey is a result of the leaders that are leading it. And a lot of the health and fitness industry has come from a very wounded place. And those wounds are being passed on to the people that are being coached by these coaches and allied health professionals and health and fitness professionals. Because the industry is so focused on the physical side of things and not the mental, emotional, and the spiritual of what makes up a whole being, essentially. So that's what we're here to explore. And that's the rabbit hole that we're going to dive in. So being a part of this podcast, you're going to be exposed to a lot of things. You want to strap yourself in, put on your helmet because we're about to go for a massive ride. It's going to be amazing. I've had this podcast planned to do for 12 months and I've slowed myself down. I'll be honest about that. I've slowed myself down but we're here. We're starting. This is the intro. I've already filmed 2 other episodes. I've got an amazing cohort of people lined up. But I want to share a little bit around like how I came to connect these dots as well. And it started when I was would have been about 12 years old, of my first understanding of how I started connecting these dots. When I was 12 years old, I came home from school one day and just imagine like this old, like weatherboard house out in country Victoria, out in the bush. If you look at the front of the house, there's a roundabout at the front with a gravel driveway and there's some brick stairs that go up to the front door. And as you walk through the front door, there's a lounge room there. The dining room's at the back and the kitchen's next to the dining room as well. It's sort of quite an open space. There's a wall in front of the kitchen. But I was sitting there in the lounge room. And on the front of the house, there's a deck. There's a deck that goes around the front of the house and all the way around to the side. And I was there sitting on the couch. And out the front of the house, I see my mum, my dad, and my oldest brother. I'm one of 4 boys. I'm the youngest. But my mum, my dad, and my oldest brother were walking up and down the front deck. And there was like this energy about them where they were sort of like freaking out a little bit. And I wasn't sure what's going on. Mum would come inside, and this is my memory of it, obviously, of what I remember. It could have been completely different. Mum would come inside. I could just see this panic. And then eventually they hopped in the car and they drove off, and I wasn't really sure what was going on. And eventually what I later found out was that my dad had a heart attack and he was about 50 years old. Somewhere around there. He might have been a little bit older, but he was around 50 years old. And from that point on, he's sort of completely changed his relationship with his health. There he was overweight, he was smoking, not very healthy at all. And for the next 10 years, he completely changed his relationship with his health. He became obsessed with the gym. He became pedantic about the way that he ate and made sure he looked after the way he ate. And this is what I saw sort of growing up. And that really inspired me. And he inspired me to actually get into the gym. He was one of the reasons that got me into the gym. My first gym session would have been going to the gym with him on a Saturday morning to the Mountain Waves Leisure Centre in western suburbs of Melbourne, and doing a session with him when I was probably a teenager and I was short and chubby. Doesn't really make sense. Now that I'm the opposite of that, tall and lanky. But that's when I first got into the gym. And what ended up happening is, fast forward 10 years, Dad sort of swung back the other way, and he stopped training, stopped going to the gym. Definitely stopped looking after his food and his health as much as he was at one point. And what I come to realize later on, this wasn't a realization I had back then, but what I've realized since then is that the transformation was so focused on the physical that the people that were guiding him and him himself didn't take on the responsibility of actually teaching him, educating him, and leading him in terms of his mental, emotional, and spiritual transformation. And I feel like it's a coach's role, it's a health professional's role to actually be able to facilitate that type of transformation. Otherwise, a lot of people will get left behind. And that's the reality of what happens with a lot of people, is they get left behind. So I saw my dad swing back the other way and him not get the support and help that he needed to actually get back on track. And since then, I don't think he's been back to the gym. I wouldn't say that he's unhealthy, but he's probably not healthy either. And through seeing that and reflecting on that, I realized that it's become an obligation of mine to be able to share this with other people. And it's part of my journey of what I saw and what's made me so passionate about truly helping people with a holistic approach. Yes, with their physical body, but with their mental, emotional, and spiritual bodies as well. Because when you change someone's identity, their beliefs about themselves, their view of themselves, how they view themselves and how they view the world, then physical transformation is just an organic byproduct of that. And that's what I'm here to share with health professionals and coaches, so you can see the importance of this, so it can be something that you can pass down to your clients. One of my mentors, Mark Buckley, used to say this to me all the time, is you can't give what you don't have and you can't share what you haven't experienced. Most people have experienced a very poor relationship with themselves and a very poor relationship with their body. The health and fitness industry is very much an industry of essentially eating disorders and body dissatisfaction. And they're the wounds that are being passed down to clients. And it's just this ripple effect. It's this domino effect. And if you don't go inside yourself, especially as a leader, as a role model to other people that are coming to you for health, for injury, for pain, if you don't go within and actually heal those things inside of you and do the inner work and find your inner growth and go on a personal development journey, however that looks for you, then essentially you're going to be passing down your wounds to people and not your wisdom. And the industry needs to change. The industry needs to pass down its wounds. The industry needs to change. It needs to pass down its wisdom. That's what we're here for. So I've been blessed to explore a lot of different things, been on an amazing journey, be impacted by some incredible people. And that's what I'm here to share. I'm here to share those people with you. Here to have amazing conversations about human transformation on the outside, on the inside, but built from within is about building fulfillment, success from the inside first, and then it happens from the outside. Because what most people are doing in today's society and being led by most coaches and health professionals is to transform on the outside first. And then most people still end up being lost. And we know that the mental health stats aren't really improving. And for people that are at the forefront and the leaders of health in our society, then there's something there that we need to get better at. So if you're a coach, if you're a health professional, then stay tuned. There's going to be some epic conversations here. Or if you're someone that has a coach or has a health professional in your corner, please send them this podcast. This is what the evolution of the industry is all about. This is what we're here for. Strap yourself in. These conversations are going to be epic. These are people that have changed my life. These are people that have changed hundreds and thousands of other people's lives and are doing incredible, incredible work inside the health and fitness industry and outside the health and fitness industry. And if you take this information and you embody it, it will change your life, just like it has mine. And that's what I'm here to share. So these people that I get on charge thousands of dollars to get coached by them, like thousands and thousands of dollars to get coached by them. So there's going to be a ton of value in this podcast. So stay tuned and let's get it. Aho.